Hello everyone, Mike Rempel from Excel Bytes with today's Excel Bytes tutorial. Today we're going to talk about the LAMBDA function. Now when I first heard about this, it was kind of intimidating to me and I really didn't comprehend it right away. But the more I read about it and watched other videos on it, it turns out it seems to be a very simple concept and one that I think many of you will be able to use. Now, you can use a LAMBDA function to create custom reusable functions and call them by any name that you want. The new function is available throughout the workbook or can be used in other workbooks and just called up just like any other built-in Excel function. You can create a function for a commonly used formula, eliminate the need to copy and paste, which we know can cause mistakes, and add your own function to the Excel function library. A LAMBDA function doesn't require any VBA, macros, or JavaScript, so even non-programmers can also benefit from its use. But before we jump into that, please take a minute to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you hit the bell icon so you will get a notice whenever I put out a new video. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps. You can also find me at any of the social media sites you see here. So now let's check out the topic of LAMBDA. So what is the structure of the LAMBDA function? Well, if I type equals LAMBDA, you see it creates a function value which can be called within formulas. Now I hit tab and it has parameter or calculation. Now you can have up to 253 parameters plus your calculation. You always put your calculation at the end. So you list all your parameters and then at the end you enter your calculation. Now I'm going to create an extremely simple version of this which really isn't useful, but it will at least show you how the LAMBDA function works. I'm going to have three parameters, x, y, and z, and then I'm going to put my calculation is just going to be x plus y plus z. Close my parentheses, hit enter, and there's my LAMBDA function. I have my three parameters and then my calculation. So if I then enter some parameters, 4, 7, and 2, close my parentheses, it adds them up for me. Okay, so how do we make this a reusable tool? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the LAMBDA function, not the parameters I entered for that, but just the function itself, and I'm going to copy that. Then I'll go up to the Formula tab, define name, and I'm going to enter that into the refers to section. I'm going to call this add values, and I'm going to put in a comment that says adds three values, and then in parentheses I'm going to put what my parameters were, x, y, z, and you'll see how useful that is later on. Some use very descriptive parameters, some use very basic, some don't even use a comment, but I think it's probably beneficial to do it this way. And now I'll say OK. So if I go to another cell and I type equals add values, notice now it's right in the list of Excel functions. I can tab to select it, but before I do that, notice what I had put in the comments appears. Adds three values, x, y, and z. So I hit tab. Now all I need to do is put in my three values, 4, 2, 9, close my parentheses, hit enter, and it adds those values for me. So I've created a function in Excel, my own personal function called add values. All I need to do is call that function like I call any other function in Excel, enter my values, and it runs the calculation for me. Now let's look at a more specific and maybe useful example. Still, this isn't really complicated, but it just expands a little bit on what I just showed you. Here I have a list of 110 line items of salespeople, car models, the cost, their profit, their revenue, etc. And what I normally do a lot, and again, how Lambda is beneficial is if you have a formula that you use over and over again. You basically create this machine that all you have to do is pump the values into, and the output will be the result that you want. So here I manually created my value. It's an average if formula. It takes, in this case, a salesperson, that individual salesperson, the cost, and then it increases it by the percentage that I have in cell N1. So that's the calculation I want to use with my lambda function. Now, how do we convert this into a lambda function? Well, what I'm going to do here is type equals lambda tab. Now, what are my parameters? I'm going to call them average by criteria, values, and increase. So there's my parameters, there's my calculation. And I close my parentheses here, hit enter, and I would get a calc error. Well, certainly I would, because I haven't defined what these are. And the next thing I need to do is I need to replace the actual values I put in here with my parameters. So average by, I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to replace it with the selection of the salespeople. This is going to be criteria. Now again, I type it in, I can copy and paste it either way. This is going to be my values, and this is going to be my increase. I hit enter, and again, I still get that calc error because I haven't defined what those are. So to just make sure it works, I will select salesperson, the individual one, cost, and lock that F4, close my parentheses, and enter, and it gives me the same value. If I copy that down, the values didn't change. So now I know my lambda function works like I want it to. Now, how do we create that to a callable function? All we need to do is highlight the lambda portion of this, Control C. I'll go to the Formulas tab. I have to hit Escape here. Hit Define Names, and I'm going to paste that right here. I'm going to call this Average Calc Increase. And my comments, which I already typed out because it would take too long, and I'm not the best typer in the world, I'm going to copy it from the text I have here, paste that in here. But I put calculates the average amount based on a criteria with a percentage increase. And then I listed my criteria. Average by criteria, values, and increase. I say OK. And now if I go over here and I type equals average, notice it appears in my list of callable functions in Excel. And all I have to do is select the criteria. Salesperson, comma, that criteria, cost, and the increase amount. F4 to lock that, close my parentheses, hit enter, and notice I get the exact same value. Now here I want the region and the profit. So I type in average, select my function, average by, in this case it's region, comma, that's my criteria. I want profit, so I select profit, and I still am going to select that increase percentage amount, and again I get the exact same values. One more time, equals average calc increase is my function name. Hit tab. I want the model. Select the individual criteria. I want the revenue. And again, that increased amount. F4, close my parentheses, hit enter, copy it down, and it works just fine. So I've created this average calc increase function, and again, I can call it whatever I want. I gave it the parameters I want. Now all I have to do is call it, enter those values or select those values, and it will automatically run that calculation. Now you can use this anywhere within that workbook, or you can use it in a different workbook, and let me show you how. So if I have, say, another workbook here, and I go to equals average, notice it doesn't come up. So what I need to do is go back to a workbook that contains that function. Find an area where it exists. I'm just going to copy this cell. Just hit copy. Go back to where I want to use it in a different workbook, and I'm going to paste that. Now I can go ahead and delete that. That now just put that function within this new workbook. And now I can type equals average, and notice there it is. I hit tab, I select new used, comma, criteria, comma, cost, comma, the percentage amount, lock that, hit enter, and now I can use that function in a new workbook. All I did was copy one of the cells from an existing workbook that contains that new function I created and pasted it into a cell in a new workbook. And that's how you can do this in Excel.